This is my mistake, my father says, smiling, while an entire room full of people laughs. I'm standing beside him on a stage under blinding lights, in a room filled with investors, cameras, and people who only know our last name, not me. He doesn't look at me when he says it, like I'm not even worth that much. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. And the worst part? No one questions it. Not my mother, not the host, not a single person in that room. Because to them, this is normal. I don't react, I don't move. I just stand there while my name gets reduced to a joke, something disposable, something regrettable. Then the host turns to the screen behind us. My name appears, and before I can even process why, a chair scrapes loudly. Someone stands up. "Stop," the man says, voice cutting through everything. "Not that file." The man doesn't sound panicked. He sounds certain, like he knows exactly what's about to happen and exactly why it shouldn't. Every head in the room turns toward him at once. Conversations die mid-whisper. Even the host freezes, hand still hovering near the control panel like he's suddenly forgotten what button he just pressed. I glance at my father. For the first time tonight, he hesitates. It's small. Almost nothing. A slight tightening in his jaw, a flicker in his eyes. But I've spent 18 years studying the gaps in his expressions. That was one. "Sir," the host says carefully, forcing a smile back onto his face. "We're in the middle of—" "Then stop it," the man cuts in, stepping into the aisle. His voice doesn't rise, but it carries. You don't want that version playing." That version. My chest tightens. Behind us, the screen flickers again. My name is still there, centered, too sharp against the dark background, not decorative, not ceremonial, documented. "What is this?" I whisper, barely turning my head toward my mother. Elson doesn't answer. She's not even looking at me. Her eyes are locked on the man now, wide, calculating, like she's trying to decide whether this is salvageable. That's when it hits me. This wasn't just a joke. It wasn't just humiliation. It was timing, positioning, something planned, down to the second. "Play it," my father says suddenly. The room shifts again. That hesitation? Gone. He straightens, calm returning like it never left. Controlled, certain. The host falters. "Mr. Virex, are you sure?" I said play it. The man in the aisle takes another step forward. "If you do, you won't be able to contain what comes next." Silence crashes down. No music, no movement, just the faint hum of the projector behind us. And then, without waiting for anyone else to decide, the screen glitches. A file name flashes for a split second. Virex Succession Archive. Original. And the video begins to load. The room doesn't breathe. That's the first thing I notice as the loading icon spins on the screen behind me. Slow, deliberate, like it has all the time in the world. No one laughs now. No one even pretends this is part of the program. I can feel it in the way people shift in their seats, in the subtle scrape of shoes against marble, in the silence that's too heavy to ignore. Whatever this is, it's not what they came here for, and somehow I'm at the center of it. I glance again at the man in the aisle. He's closer now, not rushing, not frantic, just walking forward like he belongs here more than anyone else in the room. Late 50s, maybe. Sharp suit. No hesitation in his posture. People move out of his way without being asked. That tells me everything I need to know. "Draven," he says, not raising his voice, but saying my father's name like it's something official. "You don't want to do this publicly." My father doesn't turn around. "Then you shouldn't have come uninvited." Uninvited. So he wasn't supposed to be here. A flicker of something uneasy moves through the crowd again. I shift my weight slightly, heels pressing into the stage floor. My pulse is louder now, steady but rising. This doesn't feel like humiliation anymore. It feels like exposure. "Kayla," the host says suddenly, turning toward me with a strained smile, like remembering I exist is part of his job. "This presentation is meant to highlight—" "Just play it," my father interrupts again, sharper this time. The host shuts up immediately. That's when I notice my mother move, not toward me, toward the control panel. She leans in close to the technician, whispering something urgent, her hand gripping the edge of the console hard enough that her knuckles pale. I can't hear her words, but I don't need to. She's not trying to stop this. She's trying to control how it happens. Why? My eyes flick back to the screen just as it flickers again, this time longer. And for a fraction of a second, before the video stabilizes, I catch something that doesn't make sense. A list, names, not just mine, another one, right above it. It disappears too fast to fully process, but it leaves something behind. A shape, a question. Because I know one thing for certain. I've never shared that space with anyone. Last chance, the man says quietly now, stopping just a few rows from the stage. Shut it down. My father finally turns, and this time he smiles. Cold, certain, final. No, he says. The screen behind me flashes white, and the first frame locks into place. The first image isn't a photo, it's a document. Clean, structured, official. The kind of file no one questions because it looks like it's never been wrong. Virex Family Registry, the title reads across the top. A quiet ripple moves through the audience again, softer this time, but sharper. Focused. This is no longer entertainment. This is evidence. I turn slowly, fully facing the screen now, and that's when I see it. 2 names, not one. Eris Virex, Kayla Virex. My stomach drops. The room seems to tilt just slightly, like something fundamental just shifted out of place, because I've never seen that name before, never heard it, never been told I had anything close to that, and yet it's right there. Typed, official, undeniable. Below the names, smaller text appears. Designations: primary heir, Eris Virex; secondary, conditional, Kyla Virex. A sound escapes someone in the audience, barely audible, but enough to break the silence. Because everyone here understands exactly what that means. Primary, secondary, replacement. No, I breathe, the words slipping out before I can stop it. This doesn't make sense. I look at my father again, but he's not looking at the screen. He's watching the crowd, measuring them, calculating. Like this. This is the reaction he wanted. Pause it, the host says suddenly, panic creeping into his voice as he reaches for the controls. Nothing happens. He presses again. Still nothing. It's not responding. Of course it isn't, because this isn't a presentation anymore. It's something else entirely. I glance at my mother. Her composure is cracking now, not fully, but enough. Her eyes flick between the screen and the man in the aisle, like she's trying to predict what comes next and failing. That's when the timeline appears. Dates, stamps, internal records. My eyes lock onto 1 year, the only year that was ever spoken about in fragments. Carefully. Avoided whenever I asked too many questions. The year of the incident. The screen scrolls. A new document flashes into place. Post-incident adjustment. Legal guardian override. The words don't make sense at first. Then they do. Adjustment. Override. That's not something you write after an accident. That's something you do after a decision. They didn't lose you. The voice comes from below the stage. I look down. The man is closer now, close enough that I can see every detail in his expression. Not anger, not shock, certainty. His eyes meet mine directly. They rewrote you. The words hit harder than anything my father said. Because this explains everything I never understood. Why nothing about my life ever felt complete. Why every answer I got was partial, controlled, edited. Behind me. The screen flickers again and shifts to the next file. The word rewrote doesn't leave the room. It settles into it. Into the walls, the silence, the space between every person watching this unfold like they've just realized they're not spectators anymore. They're witnesses. I don't look away from the screen. I can't, because now every missing piece in my life is lining up in a way that feels too precise to be coincidence. No photos before a certain age, no stories that stayed consistent, no answers that ever felt complete, not neglect, not distance, design. "What are you implying?" my father says, his voice cutting in, controlled but tighter now. He finally turns fully toward the man. That alone shifts the balance in the room. Because Draven Virex doesn't turn unless he has to. The man doesn't hesitate. "I'm not implying anything. I'm referencing a suppressed audit tied to your estate filings." A murmur spreads, sharper this time. Estate filings, legal territory. This just crossed a line no one here can ignore. "This is a private family matter," my father replies, stepping forward slightly, positioning himself between me and the edge of the stage. Not protective, strategic. "Not when inheritance structures are falsified," the man says evenly. The words land like a verdict. My chest tightens. Inheritance, structures, falsified. This isn't about how they treated me, it's about what they did with me. I look at my mother again. She's not trying to fix this anymore. She's frozen. For the first time in my life, Elson Virex looks like she doesn't have control over the outcome, and that terrifies me more than anything else. Because if she can't control it, then whatever comes next is real. The screen behind us glitches hard. A sharp crack of static cuts through the air, making several people flinch. Then black, complete, sudden black. The room exhales all at once, like maybe, just maybe, it's over. The host steps back from the console. "I think we've lost the..." The system hums again. Louder, deeper, and the screen flickers back to life. Not the same file, a new one. No design, no formatting, no presentation layer, just raw footage. A single title in stark white text. Incident footage. Restricted. "No," my mother whispers under her breath. Too late. The video starts playing, and whatever they buried is about to play in front of everyone. The footage is shaky. Not cinematic, not edited, raw. A timestamp blinks in the corner. 18 years ago. A private driveway. Night. Rain hitting the pavement in uneven streaks. Headlights cut across the frame. Two small figures near the edge of the shot. Children. One of them is me. I know it instantly, even before my mind catches up. The posture. The way I'm standing slightly behind. And the other one. Eris. The name lands in my chest before I even fully see her face. She's closer to the car, closer to him. Draven steps into frame. Younger. Same posture, same control. He says something, too muffled to hear, but his hand gestures sharply, directing, positioning, not panicked, not reactive, intentional. The car engine revs, too loud, too sudden. Eris turns. And then everything happens at once. The car lunges forward. Eris is hit. Her body disappears from the frame. I don't move. I freeze. Even on the screen, I don't react the way a child should, because I wasn't supposed to be the one standing there. The footage cuts. Back to the stage. No one speaks. No one even breathes. Because everyone saw it. Not an accident. A decision. "They told the public it was a loss of control," the man says calmly, stepping forward again. "Brake failure. Tragic miscalculation." My father doesn't respond. For the first time, he has nothing. "They filed internal revisions within 48 hours, the man continues. Removed Eris Virex from all active records. Reclassified Kyla Virex as a conditional dependent, then began the narrative shift. My life, reduced to paperwork, rewritten in documents no one ever let me see. They needed a survivor," he adds. But not an heir." Silence swallows the room again. I look at my mother. She finally looks at me. And there's no calculation left now, just something hollow. "You were supposed to be protected," she says quietly. "Not loved, not kept. Protected. From what? The truth? Or them?" Movement erupts at the edges of the room. Security, legal teams, people already on their phones, already sending everything out. It's spreading. Too fast to stop. My father is approached, calm hands on his arm, firm voices, controlled urgency. He doesn't resist, but he doesn't look at me either. Not once. Elson takes a step toward me, stops. Whatever she was about to say, she lets it die. I walk past her. No hesitation, no questions, because I already have the only answer that ever mattered. Days later, the silence is different. Not heavy, but clear. I sit in a quiet office, the city stretching out beyond the glass in clean lines and distant noise. Documents are spread in front of me, real ones, unedited. My name sits where it was always supposed to be, not secondary, not conditional, equal, beside Eris. I pause there, for a moment longer than anything else. Then I sign, ink pressing into paper, final, visible, irreversible. Across from me, someone says something about restructuring, investigations, asset freezes. The Virex name is already collapsing under its own weight. Legal actions, criminal charges, everything unraveling exactly as it should. I don't ask about them. I don't need updates. Because for the first time, their version of me isn't the one that exists anymore. My father's voice echoes once more, distant now. This is my mistake. I understand it differently now, not as an insult, not as humiliation, but as the only honest thing he ever said. I close the file, leave both names exactly where they belong, and walk out with nothing rewritten this time, only restored.